Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, where the shadows whisper their secrets and your chilling fan stories come to life. I'm your host Gideon, here to guide you through the eerie, the unexplained, and the spine-tingling tales that keep us all awake at night. But before we dive into tonight's story, I've got something exciting just for you. Head over to paranormalnightshift.com to grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in our thrilling Dimensional Desperado series. Follow Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman as his time-traveling paranormal adventures begin. It's a journey you don't want to miss. Now, let's step back into the shadows. Tonight's story comes from one of our listeners, Aleesha, and it's called A Haunting in Vinita. This one might just have you leaving the lights on tonight. I've lived in Vinita, Oklahoma, my entire life. It's a small, tight-knit community where most folks know each other. My husband, 2 sons and I live out in the county, surrounded by wide-open spaces and a few neighbors within walking distance. Our home is an old farmhouse, a charming place with creaky screen doors, wooden ramps that groan underfoot, and a history you can feel in its bones. I work from home as a dog groomer, and my shop is just a short walk from the house. Most days, I'm busy juggling appointments, caring for the animals, and keeping the house running smoothly. It's a full life. But until recently, I never thought much about what might share this space with us. It all started one quiet afternoon. My husband and sons had left to visit my in-laws, so I had the house to myself. After wrapping up a few grooming appointments in my shop, I walked back to the house, ready to tackle my appointment book. I sat down at the kitchen table, my Australian shepherd, Maggie, lying faithfully by my side. The house was quiet, except for the occasional creak of the old floorboards and the rustle of the wind outside. I had just finished a call with an elderly client, jotting down her appointment details, when it happened. "Hello!" A small, clear voice, a child's voice, pierced the silence. I froze, my pen hovering over the page. Maggie lifted her head, her ears perked, and her eyes fixed on the front door. She didn't bark, which was strange for her. Instead, she just stared, as if she were waiting for something, or someone. "Hello!" I called out, my voice shaky. I walked to the door and opened it, half expecting to see a child standing on the porch. But there was no one. The screen door creaked as it swung open, and I stepped out, scanning the yard. Nothing. The ramps leading to the door and the wooden porch creak with every step, and they had been silent before. No footsteps, no sound. Just that one chilling word, "Hello!" I grabbed my phone from the table and started searching the property. I checked my shop, my husband's garage, and every door to the house. Every single entrance was locked, and there was no sign of anyone. Not a single footprint or disturbance in the gravel driveway. Even our neighbors, whose house I could see from our yard, weren't home. Still unsettled, I decided to check our security cameras. I rewound the footage, expecting to see some logical explanation, but the recordings showed nothing. No movement, no visitors, no kids playing tricks. It was as if the voice had come from nowhere. Months passed, and while the memory of that day lingered, life moved on. The summer brought with it long, warm days, and one afternoon my friend came over with her kids. While the kids played and swam outside, we sat at the kitchen table, catching up. It was a picture of normalcy, until my friend went to use the bathroom. She came back pale, her face drained of color. "What's wrong?" I asked, instantly concerned. She hesitated, her voice shaking as she said, "I knocked on the bathroom door and I heard you say, 'Come on in.' But when I opened the door, no one was there." My stomach dropped. "I never left this table. I said, my voice firm. "I've been sitting here the whole time." She stared at me, her eyes wide. "It was your voice," she insisted. "I swear, it sounded exactly like you." I believed her. The look in her eyes, the fear in her voice. It was the same fear I had felt months earlier when I'd heard that child's voice. I told her about that day, about the hello Maggie and I had heard, and how I'd searched every inch of the property without finding a trace of anyone. Her fear turned to understanding. "You think it's a spirit?" she asked. "I don't know what else it could be," I admitted. Since then, I've had time to reflect on the house and its history. The old farmhouse has a charm, but it also has a weight, a presence that seems to linger in the creaking walls and the drafty halls. It's not malevolent, at least not so far, but it's there. Maggie feels it too. Sometimes she'll sit at the door or stare into a corner of the room, her ears twitching as if she's listening to something I can't hear. I don't know who or what shares this house with us, but one thing is certain: it's not just us here. Whether it's the voice of a playful child or an echo of my own, I've come to accept that this house has its secrets. And as long as they stay harmless, I'm content to live alongside them. For now, the spirits seem to prefer making themselves known in small ways. An uncanny voice, a fleeting chill, but the farmhouse has been their home longer than it's been ours. And that wraps up this thrilling journey into the unknown. Aleesha, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love your support. Join us on Patreon for an ad-free experience, early access to episodes a week before they're released, and exclusive perks, including access to all future adventures of the Dimensional Desperado ebook series. Trust me, you won't want to miss out. Not ready to join Patreon? No worries. You can still support the show by subscribing to the podcast on Spotify and YouTube. While you're there, leave a comment and let us know what you thought about this episode. Your feedback helps us keep the stories coming. And don't forget to visit paranormalnightshift.com to grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in the series. It's your perfect introduction to Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman and his wild, mysterious adventures. Lastly, if you've got a story of your own, we'd love to hear it. Head to paranormalnightshift.com to submit your tale. You might just hear it featured on a future episode. Until next time, Nightshifters, stay curious and keep exploring the unknown.